Welcome to Live with the Eczema Doc, brought to you by Clean Body, where we believe that you can heal your skin from within by cleaning your body. I'm Dr. Fong, a naturopathic doctor specializing in eczema, and I'm here to guide you through the journey of understanding the root causes of your eczema so that you can finally achieve the clear, healthy skin you deserve. Each week, we combine research-backed insights, science-based strategies, and my years of clinical experience to uncover what's really triggering your eczema and how you can take control for lasting relief. Let's dive into today's episode and uncover the next step to healing your skin from within. If you or your child have eczema, then you know that sleep is one of the most difficult things to get through when you are having eczema flares or when you are having moderate to severe eczema. And even if you're just having a little bit of eczema, sometimes it can be difficult to get to bed. It can be difficult to stay asleep because you are so itchy and it feels like, you're just crawling in your skin. So this is something I completely understand, being someone who went through eczema myself. Again, I was born with eczema and I had severe eczema and severe TSW, and I was pregnant with eczema. So I totally understand this. So we want to talk about this today because I want to give you some proven remedies for restful night's sleep. And there are some studies that, really support some of the remedies to help people with eczema get some restful nights of sleep. We want to understand why sleep can be a problem for those with eczema. And then we want to understand, how do you choose the different remedies to help you to get to sleep? And that could be, different reasons. So there might be different reasons you're having difficulty getting to sleep. And so we want to figure that out today. Okay. So our agenda today is we're going to talk about why sleep issues are related to eczema. And then we're going to talk about some of these proven remedies. We will talk about, some of the research behind it and, my clinical experience with using some of these remedies in practice. So why is sleep so important for eczema? Well, sleep is when we actually heal. This is when we reduce inflammation in our bodies. This is when we repair our skin. This is when our hormones can balance. And this is really our recuperation time. So if you have eczema, so many important, functions are happening while you are sleeping. So if you are not getting sleep, then you are not doing an integral piece of the puzzle that is going to help your eczema to heal. So we have to get you to go to sleep. So, what is one of the main problems with eczema and sleep? Well, there can be a lot of circadian rhythm disruption. So what does that mean? Well, we are creatures of habit as humans, and we have a circadian rhythm. So our circadian rhythm often follows where we are living. So when the sun comes up, our hormones that, trigger us to be awake and have energy may increase when the sun hits our eyes. And so that's called cortisol, is one of those main hormones. And that wakes us up. And then throughout the day, we'll see that cortisol falling. And then, we'll have, it'll go all the way down to, zero at the end of the night. And then we have other hormones that pop up like melatonin. And that helps us to get a restful nights of sleep. And so these can be very important. These rhythms are very important in terms of us having energy and us being able to sleep well. Now, unfortunately, when we have eczema, there's a couple of things that affect this rhythm. So topical steroids or oral steroids can actually affect this rhythm because topical steroids and oral steroids, as we sometimes know that they're called, are cortisones. And often they are really similar to that cortisol I was talking about. And that can really disrupt that circadian rhythm that we have just by using those topical steroids and those oral steroids. And so that can be problem number one. Problem number two is that, when the cortisol dips at night, cortisol actually has this anti-inflammatory aspect to it, which is why we use steroids to lower inflammation in our skin. And we use oral steroids to lower inflammation systemically throughout our body. So that natural cortisol helps to lower that inflammation. And when the cortisol levels drop at night, sometimes that can actually mean that we have more inflammation at night. So that can cause more problems with sleep for those with eczema. And you might notice you're more itchy, more inflamed at night. And sometimes it can be due to that cortisol dip that happens at night. And then we also see that that natural rhythmic secretion of melatonin may also be diminished in those with atopic dermatitis or eczema. So we see that, there's lower than normal melatonin. We might see changes to the cortisol. We may even see cortisol levels that are too high at night. And so there's a lot of different changes that we can see from person to person in those with eczema, but often we do see some circadian rhythm problems in an eczema case, adults and kids and babies alike, okay? Now, why do we itch more at night? And this is a phenomenon that a lot of us experience. And one of those reasons is potentially that lowering of the cortisol that I had just talked about. Sometimes we also have body temperature changes. And when we're sleeping, we end up getting hotter, and this can cause us to be more itchy. We do normally wake up at night. So all of us humans, babies, kids, adults, we all wake up at certain periods in the night. And often we just go back to sleep and we don't even realize, we had woken up, and we have these sleep cycles where we wake up. But when you are itchy, when you wake up in the middle of the night, you might then wake up and then be itchy. And so you're just more aware of that itchiness, which is maybe constantly there, but because you're waking up throughout the night, you're just experiencing that itchiness. And then we have this itch scratch cycle, right? So if you're itchy, then you scratch it, and then that increases more of your histamines, and that releases more, of those histamines that cause more and more inflammation. And so the scratching actually causes more itchiness, and then you end up in this cycle. So, we can see a lot of problems here as to why it's so difficult to get to sleep when you have eczema. All right, so now let's talk about the remedies to support better sleep for eczema sufferers. So the number one on my list is actually melatonin. Melatonin is a hormone that's naturally produced by the body, and it regulates that sleep-wake cycle that I was talking about. And it helps the body to cool down at night, and that it signals that it's time to sleep. So when we have eczema, again, sometimes the circadian rhythm can be all out of whack. And now your melatonin levels are not rising, and you're a little warmer than you should be, and your body doesn't realize it's time for bed. In a randomized clinical trial on children with atopic dermatitis or eczema, they found that melatonin supplementation not only shortened the time it took to fall asleep by an average of 21 minutes, but also significantly reduced eczema severity. And so melatonin is something we actually have, and it's one of our remedies that we actually have research that backs up using melatonin. And then melatonin itself actually has these anti-inflammatory properties as well that may contribute to some of the sleep improvements as well. One of the greatest things is that melatonin is not addictive, and there's no evidence to suggest that it causes any dependence, and it just works by mimicking that natural hormone in the body. And it helps us to, just fall asleep and potentially stay asleep at night. Now, what are some of the problems with melatonin? Well, some people do report when they take melatonin, they're going to have very vivid dreams. Maybe they wake up and they have more grogginess to them. So, I really do like taking a liposomal version of melatonin that is that comes in a little pump dispenser, so that you can start with just a very small amount, especially for kids, okay? Now, when you stop taking melatonin, most people return to their normal sleep patterns without any withdrawal symptoms. So this is really nice because compared to some sleep medications, you may see withdrawal symptoms with those sleep medications. So normally you just kind of adjust, okay? So, the pros, it is proven to help with that sleep latency and eczema severity, and it's non-addictive, it's safe for short and even long-term use, and it's very easily available, okay? And it's really generally safe for children. But for children, we want to, we'll want to take it slower. I do recommend you're working with a practitioner if you're using this on your child. You're not just, trying this. And, children, their hormonal balance is very important. So I do recommend that if you're going to try liposomal melatonin or melatonin in general, work with a practitioner. And then adults, as I said, you may get some drowsiness, grogginess, and maybe some weird vivid dreams that can sometimes come up. And sometimes that just means you're taking too much melatonin, or maybe melatonin isn't the right choice for you, okay? So of course you want to consult with your healthcare provider, but children usually can do about 1 milligram to 3 milligrams, 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. Adults, 2 milligrams to 5 milligrams, again, 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime. But of course, consult with your physician, okay? And, I think this is a great remedy to use if you're having a hard time falling asleep, if you're waking up and, having a hard time staying asleep, if you're just super itchy and inflamed at night, it can potentially help. And, I really like liposomal melatonin. So Quicksilver makes a liposomal melatonin in a 1 milligram dosage. And I do like getting a 1 milligram dosage so you can start really slow, really small, and just kind of see how that goes and then slowly increase the dosage. So if you're an adult, maybe making it up to 6 milligrams per night, just depending on how it's helping you. And I've had a lot of patients, especially those who have very severe eczema or topical steroid withdrawal, or you really noticing that you just have so much energy at night, your brain's just going wild and it's really hard to fall asleep just because you have so much energy, you're so wired. Sometimes it can help to have the melatonin. This is also something that we can test for. So we can check melatonin levels. We can check cortisol levels as well to see where you're at. Okay. All right. So next on my list, I really do love just gentle homeopathic remedies. And there's so many different remedies we can use homeopathic wise. In terms of homeopathy, they are very dilute and gentle herbs and other, types of, sometimes they're made from minerals and other types of ingredients, but they're usually very dilute and they're designed to gently support the body to relax and promote better sleep. I love homeopathy because it's non-habit forming, it's very safe, non-toxic, there's no sedative effects. And, with homeopathy, sometimes people don't experience any benefit. So we do have to choose the right remedies. So again, in this case, it can be really important to work with a practitioner because sometimes with homeopathic remedies, matching the entire constitution, the entire picture of a person can be really important in terms of choosing the right remedy. But there is a combination homeopathic that I really like called Guna Sleep. And this is something that can be purchased at cleanbody.health. And, these are very mild, but very gentle. So often I'll say, okay, if we're trying to be very mild, if this is a child, let's try something very mild first. Let's see if it helps. Sometimes if the process is too strong, then these homeopathics don't work as well as we want them to. And then we have to try, more severe mechanisms to get the body to sleep. But this is a really nice, gentle, okay, let's just get things moving nice and gently and see how that helps. Okay. Now, another factor that often causes people to be very restless, maybe even get muscle aches and muscle cramps, is low magnesium levels. And when we are very stressed or when we have a lot of stress on our body, eczema is a form of stress on our body, we may actually have lower magnesium levels. And magnesium is a mineral that plays a role in relaxing the muscles and the nervous system. It promotes calm in the muscles and in the nervous system. It also helps with healthy digestion. So if you're someone with eczema who also has constipation, this might be a really good remedy to consider is just taking magnesium, a very simple thing. The pros is it does calm the nervous system, but it also helps with bowel movement. So this is a great one to think of if you're constipated, okay? And very, very common in an eczema case is you are constipated and you have eczema and you can't sleep. So when you see all three of these together, that might be a good one to try. If you do take high doses, especially a type of magnesium called magnesium citrate, that can cause diarrhea. We usually say, okay, you can take, magnesium and just keep increasing the doses to bowel tolerance. And once you get that diarrhea, you know that that's too much for you and then you can back down. So that's one way of also finding the dose that works well for you. If you have impaired kidney function, you do want to just be careful with taking too much magnesium. So then, of course, check with your doctor first. So I do like citrate, especially if someone is having the gut issues and the constipation issues. A magnesium citrate is really great. If you aren't having those gut issues and you just want to try magnesium more for the calming of the nervous system, calming of the muscles, then magnesium glycinate is a good option. Okay. And, you want to maybe use this again if you're experiencing any muscle tension, if you're experiencing any constipation, this is a great one to try. And so if you go to the blog I wrote about this, then all the links to some of these recommendations are in there. So magnesium glycinate, is maybe the one I recommend unless you have a constipation issue, then magnesium citrate. Okay. All right. And then herbs are really wonderful, especially adaptogenic herbs. And one of the adaptogenic herbs that I really like is called ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is an adaptogenic herb that helps balance the body's stress response and regulate the cortisol levels. So again, we're dealing with maybe some circadian rhythm issues. And I love ashwagandha because, again, it's called an adaptogenic herb. And that means it just helps your hormones to adapt. So if your cortisol levels are too high, taking ashwagandha may actually calm them down. If your cortisol levels are too low, it may actually help to pick them up and just bring balance. So adaptogenic means, bringing balance. And, balancing these cortisol levels, again, may be crucial for supporting healthy sleep patterns. So this is really great if you are having really high cortisol at night. You maybe say, oh, I'm such a night owl. I like to stay up all night. And then you like to sleep during the day. Well, maybe you may want to take ashwagandha and maybe some associated herbs at night to calm that cortisol level down. Okay. So although there's no direct research linking ashwagandha to eczema, there are many studies that have showed ashwagandha helps reduce cortisol levels and improve sleep quality. So this is something that can be used if you're, again, having that more night owl sensation. So pros, it's great for calming and even stress relieving. It may reduce those cortisol levels, especially when you're super stressed out. And of course, it can promote better sleep just by bringing those cortisol levels. So if you're that person that's really wired and up at night, this is great for you. Some people may experience some side effects like nausea or drowsiness. And if you have thyroid conditions or you're taking any kind of medication, you will want to think about consulting with your doctor before taking something like ashwagandha, okay? So if you are someone who's super stressed, if you're a night owl, then something like Cortisol Manager by Integrative Therapeutics is a great one. There's ashwagandha in there. There's also some other herbs in there like magnolia that just kind of calm the nervous system. And so ashwagandha is one of the main ingredients in that product, but there's some other ones there too. All right. And then another one that I really like is actually a neurotransmitter called GABA. And GABA is one of our neurotransmitters that is calming. It reduces that neural excitability. It promotes relaxation and better sleep. And GABA has been shown to reduce anxiety and help promote that restful sleep by calming the nervous system. And this can be particularly helpful for those eczema sufferers who deal with stress-related sleep disruptions. So, there's just this real feeling of calm. And, more so than that adaptogenic aspect of ashwagandha, this is more like it's just definitely pushing yourself to calm. Okay. So the pros, we reduce anxiety and promote relaxation. So if you're someone who has a lot of anxiety, GABA could be a nice one to try. It's safe for short-term use, but I wouldn't recommend it for long-term use. And again, I would recommend talking to a practitioner so that you can, use this to get things calm. But I may recommend if you have a lot of anxiety, actually working through some of that anxiety, maybe working with someone who deals with anxiety or trauma-related issues. So like a therapist or someone who can help you kind of work through some of those anxieties would be great. And, the cons, GABA may or may not cross the blood-brain barrier. This is being debated, but I will say that when you use liposomal GABA, I do find that this works very well. Like I have experienced the calmness that comes from the liposomal GABA that I'm going to recommend in a second. So, there's a lot of debate. People say, oh, if you take GABA, it's not going to cross the blood-brain barrier, you're not going to feel anything. But with this liposomal GABA, I definitely feel it. So this is something that definitely you can try and a super kind of easy and gentle approach to calming the nervous system. Some people may feel a little nausea or drowsiness. I personally have not felt anything with using GABA. I just feel nice and calm. So I really like it. So if anxiety or stress is keeping you up at night, GABA is a nice choice. If you have racing thoughts, that's another, really good one for GABA. And there's one by Designs for Health called Liposomal NeuroCalm. And so that, again, you can find the link in the blog that I wrote on this topic. Now, of course, one of the reasons we can't sleep when we have eczema is because we are so itchy. So using remedies for the itchiness can also be important. And I'm not going to go deep into that today because I do have an eczema relief guide that has a lot of my itch relief recommendations. So definitely download my itch relief guide. It is in the links in all of the places that you can find me in the bio in my Instagram. On my podcast, you can just check the description and the link is there as well. And on my website at cleanbody.health. So just download that free eczema relief guide. And then there's a bunch of itch relief recommendations there. And with those itch relief recommendations, if you can get to the itch, then maybe you can get to sleep. So that's another thing that can really help. And you can use those itch relief recommendations along with some of these sleep recommendations to really just help with those restful nights of sleep. Now, sleep hygiene is really important. Actually, when I work with patients, sleep hygiene is the first place to start, actually, because you may just be doing things that are not helping to lower the cortisol, to increase the melatonin, and to get you calm enough to go to sleep. So first of all, when we are hot and we have eczema, it's not going to be good. We are going to be itchy, right? So let's keep it cool. A cool bedroom can really reduce overheating, which can trigger that itching, right? So make sure that you're using lightweight bedding and breathable fabrics like cotton. And then you put the temp down a bit when you are sleeping. And we all know this, but we all do it. Avoid screens. So the blue light from your phones, your tablets, your computers, that suppresses your melatonin production. So turn off the screens at least 1 hour before bed. Make sure the environment is completely dark, because when it is dark, it actually helps regulate that melatonin as well. So when it's dark, the body goes, oh, time to go to sleep, and it increases the melatonin. Make sure that you are establishing a relaxing bedtime routine. So right before bed, you're doing calming activities like reading and stretching and meditating. In my house, even as it's time to go to bed and we're brushing our teeth and we're getting ready for bed, we actually put calming music on, and we turn on red lights instead of the normal lights that have the blue light in them. So we just turn on these red lights, and that really does a great job of like, ooh, it's time to go to bed. Like, I'm really getting relaxed now. And then of course, have that bedtime routine for your eczema, for your skin, whether it's taking a bath or using ointments or using sprays to just kind of alleviate the skin and put a barrier on the skin before you go to bed. Okay. Now, all of these are quick, how do I get to sleep? How do I get the itch down? But the real reality of it is that we have deeper issues when we have eczema. There are issues that include microbiome imbalances and toxic burden, leaky gut, and issues with nutrition, issues with lifestyle. And these are all, I've identified 6 top root causes that cause eczema. So all of these remedies are great. They are great for just kind of helping in the meantime. But the real way to get yourself to go to sleep, to get the eczema healed, is let's address the root causes of the eczema. So we really want to make sure to do that. So first off, where can you start? Well, download my free eczema relief guide. You can either DM me and I'll give you the link. You can go to my website at cleanbody.health, and the link is right at the top. And of course, the description in the podcast, in my Instagram, on my bio, in all those places, you can find the free eczema relief guide. And this is a great place to start. It gives you kind of an overview of, how you understand the root causes of your eczema, an assessment to assess your own eczema, and then those relief remedies for itching, and, everything you kind of need to just get started. But then we have to dive deeper. We have to learn about, okay, what are the root causes for you? Let's really figure that out. Let's do some testing, and then let's really target those issues, okay? Thank you for joining live with the Eczema Doc. I hope today's episode provided you with valuable insights and tools to support your journey to healing your skin from within. For more information, visit www.cleanbody.health or check the links in the podcast description. You'll find the studies and resources discussed today on my blog. You can also take my free eczema root cause assessment to uncover potential triggers, or download my free eczema relief guide for quick, practical tips to calm flare-ups and help with your sleep. If you found this episode helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast to help others on their healing journey. And if you'd like to stay updated with future episodes, please turn on your notifications so you don't miss a thing. Please remember, this podcast is for informational purposes only and does not constitute medical advice. Always consult with your healthcare provider or book a consultation with me before making any changes to your healthcare regimen. When you clean your body, you heal your skin from within. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you next week.